KFDI, hello.
Hi, it's Alicia Dennis.
Alicia, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Really great. So excited to talk to you. Senior editor of crime for People magazine. You've been doing that for a hot minute. First question, though. When you talk to hosts like me for interviews, do you ever investigate the host ahead of time? Because if so, I can explain.
Yeah, you do. I do have some questions.
Yeah. Well,
no.
We can talk about that off air. We can.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, excellent. Seventh season of People magazine Investigates already made its debut earlier this week. 2-hour season premiere on Investigation Discovery. It started with the story of the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders back in 1977. Is that the case that that actress and singer Kristen Chenoweth has a connection to?
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly that one. And it's such a chilling, heartbreaking case. This case that occurred in Camp Scott in the Oklahoma area. It was this camp that parents sent their kids to for years. You know, nobody worried about it. It was beautiful, and kids would connect and bond and learn about nature. It was just this beautiful place. And overnight, it became, this like scene of a horror movie, everyone's worst nightmare, where these 3 little girls who were in a tent at the edge of camp were murdered on the first night there in the summer of 1977. And the camp was closed. Parents were never the same. The community was never the same. And we visit a lot with the victims' families and talk to them about what it's been like for them through these years.
Just horrifying. And it changes just the landscape of everything when it comes to summer vacations and camping and things like that. It completely changes your mindset to looking over your shoulder just a little bit more.
Exactly. Things that seem to be innocent and fun, and no one could ever have predicted something like that. The camp counselors had gone through the camp and checked the tents. And when you've got a bunch of kids together, people are making noise and, giggling, and different camp counselors went in and told people to stop throwing pillows and to calm down. And then, the next morning when these bodies were found, a lot of the counselors were asking themselves, was there a noise that I should have heard? Was that a noise that I should have checked?
Yep.
And it's just, you're right. It makes you start to question things that you never would have questioned before.
My wife, Amy, was a camp counselor years ago, and I can't even imagine how this would have changed her just foundation if, say, for instance, she experienced something like this.
Absolutely. This is something that they just never forget. This is something that plays, for them over and over again. And a lot of times these are kids too. A lot of these camp counselors are young people and teenagers and, people that, have just been starting out their lives as well. And this just completely changes your outlook. Right.
In all your investigating, what has been maybe one of the most dangerous situations you have found yourself in?
Well, I have done a couple of ride-alongs with police. There was one that I did in the New Orleans area some years ago, and they, gave me a bulletproof vest and things, and we were kind of going around in the middle of the night, and that felt a little bit nerve-wracking, probably that.
Sure.
No. But I don't do that very often.
No, I get that. But in your head, were you singing the theme to Cops? Were you singing Bad Boys in your head when you? Because I would have been. I mean, how can you not? Look, if you're on a ride along and you've got a bulletproof vest on and you're not singing that in your head, you're doing it wrong, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a weird thing. They're very heavy. I mean, maybe they've changed through the year, but mine was heavy.
Yeah, no, I get that. Is there a case, Alicia, or a notoriously bad person you haven't covered yet that you want to?
Oh, what an interesting question. Every day we're a 24/7 news organization, and so we're covering crimes on people.com. We're doing stories in the magazine that's out weekly. We're doing things, in this show, People Magazine Investigates. And every day, there's some new thing that happens that you're just wanting to look at a little more closely. Maybe, we're just incredibly curious as journalists. And I think that what's lucky for me is that I have the kind of job, if I'm curious about something, I can go look into it. So I think that I don't have one like that, because we've looked at the ones that I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
Sometimes we can't cover them because sometimes, you know, the investigators don't want to talk or the people involved don't want to talk. So there are some that we haven't been able to cover yet. But what's surprising to me is that you never know when people do change their minds, because, you know, we'll reach out to people and they'll say, I'm not ready yet. But then, you know, they'll in a few months or years even.
Right.
A lot of times they'll come back to us and say, you know, now's the time.
Yeah, for sure. You were talking about your curiosity, which actually leads me into my next question. As a kid, were you like naturally curious? Did you question everything your parents ever did and said when it came to your well-being? I mean, they'd ask you to do something, you'd be like, why?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was that kid. I was that annoying kid who I was way into Nancy Drew books, read all those.
Yep.
I did some investigative work into Santa Claus and his existence, and then went around the neighborhood and told all the children that I knew what I had discovered. I got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that'll do it.
The truth. Nobody wanted the truth at that point, so...
You can't handle the truth, is what I'm hearing.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of kids really couldn't. A lot of their parents really couldn't either.
Lump of coal for you that year, I'm sure.
Not good.
No, not at all.
Not a happy scene.
Not at all. What's the most rewarding part about what you do when it comes to investigating these stories?
Well, I think it's twofold. One is, every once in a while, us shining a light on a particular case leads to justice, leads to a crack in the case. And we had a situation where us looking at a case led to an arrest, and the district attorney, mentioned that. And that's huge. That's something that we really definitely want. A lot of times someone will come forward with something that they didn't know was important, or that they forgot, or that they were afraid to share before. And that's huge. And then I guess the second part is it really matters to me to have these people's voices heard, the investigators and, the victims' families. I want to share their stories. And so it's super satisfying when we can put together these episodes where they have the opportunity to talk about what happened from their viewpoint and from their own eyes. Yeah,
super important. Looking ahead to this coming Monday, and again, 7th season of People Magazine Investigates. It's on Investigation Discovery. The I-70 killer, 2 of the victims from right here in Wichita, Patricia Majors and Patricia Smith.
Yeah, they were. This was such a chilling case of a serial killer who was using the I-70 corridor as a hunting ground and an escape route, both.
Yeah.
Like all in between Indianapolis and Wichita, Kansas. But the 2 women that you mentioned, Patricia Smith and Patricia Majors, worked at a bridal shop. One was the owner, one was, the employee there working. And they were supposed to be closed. And they decided to stay open for a customer who needed to pick up like a cummerbund for a tuxedo. And just in that split time, the killer entered the shop and murdered the 2 of them. When the customer came to pick up his cummerbund, he confronted the killer was there.
Yikes.
And the killer told him to get into the back of the store, and he refused and ran away. But his description is part of what the police use to connect these cases together.
Got chills when you think about the choices we make to be where we're going to be at that exact moment, I mean,
it's all about timing.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. All right. Finally, I want to ask you this. I mean, with all the gruesome true crime stuff that you investigate, and we've all got a fascination with it. You need a palate cleanser. Like, what are you into that has absolutely nothing to do with your job?
Well, putting my phone away and getting away from all the screens and the television and everything. I'm way into a good beach day. It doesn't matter if it's cloudy or if it's whatever, just the sand and the sound of the water.
Yep.
That's kind of the palate cleanser of choice.
Okay.
But if I can't have that, I'll walk around the block with my dog.
Okay. Very good. What kind of dog you got?
He's a mix. He's a rescue.
Oh,
he's,
good for you.
Yeah, he's a I think he's like they say he's a Bernese Mountain Dog and a retriever combined.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He really knows.
And 100% unconditional love.
He's his own guy. Yep.
Absolutely.
There you go.
All right. Alicia Dennis, I always appreciate talking to you, senior editor of crime for People Magazine. Again, 7th season of People Magazine Investigates, Investigation Discovery, Monday nights, new episode coming up this Monday, the I-70 Killer. Look forward to speaking with you again down the road.
I'd love that. I'd talk to you anytime.